What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Eat What You Sow with Co. So today we are not going to do any cooking. Today I wanted to do an episode for those new vegans out there, or people new to eating plant-based diet, or people that are thinking about transitioning to a plant-based diet or transitioning to vegan lifestyle. This video is for you. Okay, so cutting in here to give you a full disclosure. So I've been editing this video. It is way longer than I had anticipated this video being. I am a freaking chatterbox. So what I am gonna do is split this into two different episodes. So this video that you're watching right now is gonna be specific to when you're transitioning to a vegan lifestyle, just some tips on veganism as a whole. There's another episode and I will post that above, and I keep pointing this way, but I think it's this way. That episode is specific to the food and what my tips are as far as like certain foods, like what my favorite brands are of stuff like that when you're switching to a vegan lifestyle or a plant-based diet and you're not going straight to whole food plant-based and you're looking to like find out what some of these vegan food options taste like and which ones are good ones. This video is just too freaking long to put them both in one video like I wanted to do. I see a lot of people ask the question, like, I'm starting out, how do I start out? It seems very overwhelming, like, how do I start out going vegan? And it can seem really overwhelming at times, especially if you don't have anybody in your life that also is vegan or eats a plant-based diet. It can seem like generally overwhelming. I have been vegan for about 4 years now, I think almost 4 years now, and I can tell you it's the best decision I ever made. My only regret is not doing it sooner, and you will hear that from the majority of people that have gone vegan. So super excited to film this episode today, and super excited to have you here with me. And I had to take notes for this freaking episode, so I have my notebook right here because I wanted to make sure I did not forget anything, and I'm sure I'm gonna forget stuff anyways. But all right, so let me run through my freaking notepad of like what I need to talk about. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about, I just want to give you guys like my backstory. So when I was 16, I went vegetarian, and I did it while I was eating a steak that my dad had cooked. And in that moment, like, I made that connection that that is a cow. I am very grateful for social media because when I went vegetarian, there was no such thing as social media, and social media is holding these industries like accountable. And now, because social media is exposing these industries, we have the ability to make, you know, more educated choices of what we eat, thanks to social media and the activists out there exposing these industries. So, you know, I'm so grateful for social media now because all of this information is out there. But when I was 16, I obviously knew that the meat that I was eating came from an animal, and I have always been a self-proclaimed animal lover, rescuing any type of animal I've ever found. When I was in kindergarten and you did, what do you want to be when you grow up? My mom still has it hanging on her fridge that I wanted to be a veterinarian. So I was always an animal lover. So when I was 16, I went vegetarian, and I told my parents, hey, like, I'm going vegetarian, and they laughed, and they're like, there's no way you're gonna stick to that. You like food too much. And I'm like, no, I am gonna stick to it. So when I was 16, I went vegetarian. I didn't know any other like vegetarians, eventually met other vegetarians, but when I went vegetarian, there wasn't even such thing as a veggie burger. So what I had eaten, well, I still lived with my parents when I was 16, and my mom was fantastic, super supportive. She would make dinner and I would eat either the sides, or she would make me like a side thing specifically. So luckily I was very fortunate to have a supportive family. I know a lot of people are not that fortunate, and my heart goes out to those people. I can't imagine like how challenging that must be. So I was vegetarian from 16 until I think maybe I was like 23 or so. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor told me I was anemic and I needed meat. And this time, again, like I didn't know any better. So I was like, well, I'm not going to eat meat. And she's like, well, you need to eat fish at least. You need to eat fish. So I started eating fish. I think I ate, and I never even really liked fish, even when I, was not a vegetarian. I didn't like fish. So then I was eating fish for many years. Not a lot of fish, but I would incorporate fish in some of the things that I was eating. After that, I ended up tapering back to vegetarian and kind of like not eating fish. So my sister was doing whole food plant-based diet, eating whole food plant-based diet 3 days a week. And I knew she was doing this. And one day she told me 4 years ago to watch the documentary, What the Health. So when I went vegetarian, I always did that for the animals. Everything was always about the animals as my priority. So I watched the documentary, What the Health, and after that documentary, if you've seen that documentary, if you have not seen that documentary, I would definitely watch it. It's a great documentary, but that documentary is primarily focused on the health benefits of like eating whole food plant-based. However, there was a few things, if I remember correctly, in that documentary that they talked about the animal like farming and dairy. And after that documentary, I started digging into the dairy and egg industry. And when I learned what happened in the dairy and egg industry, also fish, I went vegan overnight. It wasn't even a thought, went vegan overnight. And I have to like thank my sister for triggering that in me. So one thing I do want to like clarify, I guess, vegan lifestyle is about reducing suffering to the animals, and that is like the primary focus. And then eating a plant-based diet is more of like health or whatever reason, but it's really like focused on the diet. There is a disconnect there of like, I'm vegan does not mean that you just eat vegan food. Like vegan is not a diet, it's a lifestyle change. However, obviously eating a vegan diet is fantastic and it's a great step. I mean, my sister started out with, she wanted to transition to eating a plant-based diet, and then, and I wanted to transition to eating a plant-based diet, but also like vegan for the animals. However, both of us throughout that process, we learned so many other benefits of veganism that now, I mean, you enter in for one reason and then you learn all of this information, environmental impacts, the animal welfare aspect of it, the water aspect of it, the health aspect of it. I mean, there's so many great like impacts that it does, the compassion aspect. I mean, there's so many different things. So you'll find yourself entering in for one reason or another, and then you're just like learning all of this other information you didn't know, and you're like, wow, I'm also benefiting this, and then you start caring about everything. I know that's what happened to me, and that's also what happened to her. So that is my story. Now, again, what I will say is when I went vegan, my immediate family and also my partner was very, very supportive of it. And not only that, but now my partner is also vegan and my parents are also vegan. So my sister, my parents and I are all vegan, and my partner is vegan. So if you are one of those people that is feeling like alone or like, overwhelmed because you're transitioning to this and you feel like left out at dinners and stuff like that, or you get the jokes made at you, like, just know that you transitioning is going to open other people's eyes as well. Naturally, you will inspire change in others. Intentionally or not intentionally, it's just going to happen. So just like power through it as best as you can. I know that that's a struggle. Oh my God, I'm rambling. I don't know how I'm gonna cut this video up because I am freaking rambling on and on. So a couple like tips I have for if you're starting out being vegan, what I would tell you to do is watch all the documentaries and read all the information you can to become armed with information. Because unfortunately, what is going to potentially happen to you is you will be questioned a lot by a lot of people. People will suddenly feel the need to tell you why you should not make this choice and why, or make a joke about you or whatever that is. You will probably have to deal with ridicule. Hopefully not, but I don't know a vegan that does not deal with that. So just know that, you know, sometimes when you get that information, when you get that feedback, it's coming from a place of insecurity from the other party. And Earthling Ed does a great video talking about this. He is like, I think everyone calls him like, he's the vegan Jesus, right? Like everyone in the vegan community is very familiar with Earthling Ed, and he is one of the first people I started watching as well. And I just adore Earthling Ed, but he has a lot of videos on this. His family actually, surprisingly, I watched a video of his where he was talking about the fact that his family is not vegan. And it's just, that shocked me because he is so articulate and so, I mean, unfortunately, I cannot articulate my words. Obviously, you see how I talk. I trip over my words constantly. I cannot articulate myself as well as Ed can. And for him not to be able to inspire change in his family, that is really surprising to me. But that also made me realize how fortunate and grateful that I am that my family and the closest people to me were receptive to it. Like, I am so grateful. But back to the documentaries. Watch the documentaries, okay? So I'm gonna just list some out. Okay, what the health? So let's start out with the health ones. And I know there's more than this, you guys, and feel free to like leave in the comments any documentaries that I missed, or anything that I missed. Like, feel free to leave it in the comments for people that watch this video, and you know, I'm gonna miss stuff, right? But documentaries that I can think of, or like, well, that I wrote down. So health aspect, what the health, environmental, Cowspiracy, also Seaspriacy is for the oceans. So it's an environmental, but it's about, you know, the ocean. Forks Over Knives is also a good like health documentary. It's pretty more scientific than What the Health, I think. It's very good though. Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead is another one. There's plenty more. I know that Plant-Based News just came out with Milked. I have not seen it. I don't know what it's about. I feel like it's going to be sad, so I have not seen it, and I don't feel like I need to see it. But if you're starting out or you feel like you're struggling to make that connection with the animal aspect of it, and you want to go vegan, but you are struggling to make that connection, Dominion is one that I would recommend you watch. That is a very tough one to get through, but if you need to make that connection and you really want to make that connection, that's another one. Food Inc. is another one that I would watch, you know, that to also help you, you know, make that connection. Not only the documentaries, you guys, like, watch YouTube, subscribe to Earthling Ed, Ed Winters. He's got like a podcast too. Subscribe to Joey Carbstrong. Subscribe to like Pint Size Vegan. Subscribe to some of these other vegan, you know, podcasters, or YouTubers. Subscribe to them. The other thing I would recommend is join all of the Facebook groups that you can, so that when you're feeling like overwhelmed and alone, you realize when you join Facebook and you join these groups, you are not alone, and there are others that feel like you, and there is a community of people that want to, you know, inspire change and help, you know, help these animals. And another thing I will say is, when you're vegan and you're starting out vegan, you do not, it can be overwhelming, because when you're transitioning to vegan, you know, there's a lot of elements you have to look at. Nobody is a perfect vegan, right? You learn as you go, right? So like for me, I started out with the food. And that was the easiest. And the clothes, like food and clothes, that was easy, right? And then you start looking into like, okay, which makeups are vegan, which products are vegan, which, you know, then you start looking at all the other stuff. I feel like that's why a lot of people get overwhelmed, is because like they join these groups and they're like, oh, this and this, and you're like, oh my God, I have to now learn like all this makeup or products around the house, or like hair shampoo or whatever, you know, like I have to change all this stuff. I mean, what's gonna happen is you're gonna naturally like start looking at all this stuff and changing it out, okay? So I don't want you to be so, I feel like a lot of people get so overwhelmed when they're starting that it's easier to be like, dude, this is too much. Like, I can't handle this. This is too much. So I feel like just start with like the easy stuff. Start with the food. Start with the food. That's it. And then, you know, as you go and you're learning, you will learn more and more and more. It's like everyone feels like they have to be perfect on day one, and you absolutely do not need to be perfect on day one. Like, I'm still learning stuff. You know, everyone else is, I mean, I don't think there's any perfect vegans out there. I know I'm definitely not one, but I'm always striving to be better, right? You know better, you do better. So you just strive to be better and it'll all work out. Like, don't feel like you have to be perfect day freaking one. And that is why these Facebook groups will help you. You will learn, so I have learned so much on these groups. Not only like I have learned so many other documentaries or shows to watch, and I've learned other stuff as well that I didn't know. So like the Facebook groups are great. Like, they're absolutely great. I will tell you, when I was vegetarian, I already shared that story. When I was vegetarian, I was anemic as a vegetarian. And I can tell you, I did my blood test about a year ago. No, probably less than that, probably 6 months ago. My levels of everything were perfect, including iron. You can definitely get the protein, the iron, all that stuff from your diet. If you're starting out, like, I really just want to just emphasize the fact that if you're starting out going vegan and, you know, you're getting like ridiculed and, you know, it's hard. I know people that have transitioned and their family ridicules them and makes fun of them, and they don't have anybody in their life except me that is vegan, and that is very, it's a challenge, because you have this major anxiety every time you're in a social setting that you're gonna have to deal with that ridicule. That's unfortunate. But, you know, even I deal with it in social settings all the time. I have a sense of anxiety, but a lot of people don't have that same anxiety, but I do. One thing I will tell you is, if you're experiencing that, you will inspire change. That is one promise that I will make to you. Generally, you know, most vegans, they're going to want to inspire change in others, because your goal is to reduce animal suffering, right? You're gonna want to inspire change in as many people as you can, because you are aware that the more people that, you know, change, the less that demand for these animal products is there. And so, unfortunately, it's very hard to remain. This is why I don't do these type of videos, because I'm not as articulate as Ed, where he sits there and talks to people on the street and like tries, you know, just conversates with them, and he is able to remain calm and do it in such a like, he's just amazing to me. I wish I could have his poise in these conversations. I am working on that. That is one thing I'm working on. But you may find yourself in situations, it may be heated, or you may not have the answer, and that's okay, you know? And I think the key is, like, it's hard to, you know, remain calm and all of that, but there's been so many times I've had conversations with people and I think I've gotten nowhere, right? And I'm like, dang, you know, like, this person loves animals, you know, I think like I could get somewhere with them, you know? And it's not, I think, unfortunately, it's viewed as if you're trying to, like, you know, push your views on others. No, you're trying to make other people align themselves with what they already believe, right? Most people believe animal cruelty is wrong. It's not like you're trying to push them into something, right? You're not. You want them to, like, realize why this is bad. And most people want to help the animals. Most people think that animal cruelty is bad. So unfortunately, sometimes, you know, vegans have a bad rep, right? We have a bad rep of being aggressive or being like, you know, I don't know. There's a million other words. I can't think of any right now all of a sudden, which is weird. I should know all these words since I've been called them many times, I'm sure. But, you know, it's unfortunate that we have that rap, right? But, you know, and that's why I really value people like Ed, because he's able to do it in such a poised way, which I am not there yet. You know, I'm trying to get there, but I'm not at his level. You know, I wish I was at his level. But I am working on that. And that's why I would definitely recommend watching Ed. You might not change people overnight, and one of the best videos I've ever seen, Joey Carbstrong did a video on this, and if I can find that video, I'm gonna post it above. His video was such a like huge message to me. This was one of my favorite videos because he talks about, and I think Ed does a video similar to this as well. That video from Joey really like inspired me because he talks about like when you have a conversation, if you're trying to be an activist, maybe that's not what you're trying to do. Maybe you just want to do it for yourself, and that's okay. But if you are and you start talking to others and your goal is to be like more of an activist and like inspire change in others, his video was so like helpful to me because what he mentions in the video, he explains like you don't have to be, you know, you're not going to be the 100% most of the time. Most of the time, it's somebody, when you have a conversation with them, they're not going to go vegan after just your conversation. However, you may find a person that has had 10 conversations or read a bunch of stuff, and now they're already like 70% there to wanting to go vegan. And you're that extra 30%, your conversation with them. His video was so helpful to me. And I guess my point in all of this is saying that if you find yourself in a lot of situations where people are talking down to you, or you feel uncomfortable, or you feel attacked, try to focus on the fact that I promise you, you will inspire change in others. You will, just by talking to people or just by being yourself and living the way you are, like you are naturally going to inspire change. You are. Even if it doesn't feel like it in these moments, like you are inspiring change. You might not know that you've inspired some changes in somebody. You might not know that you've already triggered something in somebody. You might not know that. You might not be that person that tips them over the edge and is like, okay, I'm going vegan. But you are inspiring change. So all of the bad interactions that you have, try to focus on like the positive and just know that veganism is growing year after year. It's not reducing, it is growing. So we already are inspiring change. We already are changing. It already is changing, okay? So try to focus on the positive because it is so easy to get caught up in the negative. I mean, and I wish people understood more. Vegans have no hidden agenda. We have no hidden agenda, okay? Activists have no hidden agenda. Activists are just trying to inspire change for peace. The meat industry, the dairy industry, they have hidden agendas. Money. Us, we don't. We don't have a hidden agenda, okay? Our agenda is for the animals. Another thing I will say is that a lot of people say like veganism is a limited diet. And I will tell you, now that I'm vegan, I eat more types of foods than I've ever eaten in my entire life. And I have learned about cooking more than I have ever known and all these different foods, like, and I feel fantastic. I feel healthier than I've ever felt in my life, and, you know, mentally as well, I feel fantastic. So anyway, I hope this video helped some of you. I really just wanted to put this together because I feel like I see a lot that it's overwhelming for new vegans. And please, like, any of you that are vegan or you're transitioning or you have any other questions or anything to add that I've missed, please put it in the comments. Like, please put it in the comments. And I apologize for the stuff that I did miss because I'm sure I missed plenty. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. And like I said, subscribe to me to see some of my like vegan recipes. I am not a friggin' master chef, so mine are pretty simple the majority of the time. So it's actually perfect for new vegans. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I look forward to next time. Okay, I warned you I was going to forget stuff. I don't have my makeup on anymore. But the other thing I wanted to point out, this book is also, I would recommend reading. This is Ed Winter's book, Vegan Propaganda. And there is a ton of information in this book. And it's a fantastic book. So would definitely recommend this as well.